Hi there, welcome back to the series where I'm going to be making this Farmers Market Finder app in Python and Kivy. First thing I need to do is get access to this map widget, which is called a MapView. So if you haven't already, hopefully you have Kivy installed, Kivy Garden installed. We'll be writing garden install MapView, and this will install the widget so that we can use it. Okay, very good. And now also, I'm in my sort of project directory, so Farmers Market Finder tutorial. Over here we can see I've got a couple different parts. I want to install KivyMD or get access to the code from the KivyMD package, which has a lot of really nice widgets for me to use. So I'm going to clone it. So first I'll say git clone, and let me go to KivyMD. This is the GitHub page for KivyMD. I'm going to copy this, and I'll clone that. Okay, it's going to take a second. Okay, it's finished. I'm going to go over to my project again, and here's where I clone KivyMD. I don't actually need all of this stuff. I just need KivyMD, the actual package with all the code in here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this over. Let's see, copy. So I copied the KivyMD package, and I'm going to put it inside of my actual, the place where I'm going to be doing all my coding. So I will paste. All right. Okay, sure, add all these. There we go. So now part 2, this is where I'll be doing all my coding for today. I've got my KivyMD package in there, and I've installed the MapView module. Okay, let's get coding. First, let's make a main.py file, and also a main.kv file. Okay. Now I can say from KivyMD.app import mdapp. This will just basically give me access to a blank material design app. And I'll say class main app inherit from mdapp and just pass for now because I just want to get this up and running. Okay, if I run my project, I should see, oops, main app.run. There we go. I've got my white screen here. That's perfect. So I have a starting place. Okay. Now I want to put in my map view. Since I'm going to do some customizing of the map view, remember if I go back here, let's see. I want to have this farmer's map view, which is a subclass of the map view, right? So I'm going to create a new file for the farmer's map view. Actually, a new Python and Kv file. So I'll say farmers mapview.kv, and in here I'm going to import the MapView widget from kivy.garden.mapview.mapview. This is the one I just installed at the start of the video, and now I can create my farmers map view, and I'm going to tell it where to start. Okay, so I'll say start at latitude, let's see, 33.75 and longitude negative 84.4. Alright, so this is Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, now in my main.kv file, I want to put my farmer's map view widget. But first I have to actually include that KV file. So I'll do include farmers mapview.kv. And now one more thing, I'm going to create my Python file for the farmer's map view. farmersmapview.py. Sure, add to git. Okay, and now from kivy.garden.mapview, import mapview, and let's create my farmer's mapview class that inherits from mapview, and I'll just pass for now. Okay, in main.py I need to import this guy, so from farmers mapview, import farmers mapview. So this refers to my Python file here, and I'm importing my class. Okay, I'll run this, and boom, we should see, here I am. My map is centered, but I'm not zoomed in. So let me go update the zoom there on the map view. So I'll go over to farmers map view. Zoom we'll put at 10, and if I run this again, okay, now I'm zoomed in on Atlanta, Georgia. Good. I can zoom in and out, I can move around on the map, it looks nice. I want to make it so I can't zoom further away than this 10 zoom. So I'll say on zoom. Now on zoom is automatically called anytime the zoom function or the zoom attribute changes. So I can say on zoom, and I'll set self.zoom to be 10 if self.zoom is over 10. Otherwise, set self.zoom to be self.zoom. Okay? So this is basically saying 10 is my minimum zoom, or the most I can zoom out. Oh, whoops, maybe a minus, or less than. There we go. Now I can zoom in, but I cannot zoom out. Okay. So I've set minimum zoom here. And now if I go back to my sort of specification document that I have right here, what do I need in my farmer's MapView class? I need this function start getting markets in field of view, which calls the get markets function after 1 second. Here's the get markets in field of view function. Okay, and start getting markets in field of view should be called anytime the latitude or longitude changes of my map view, and I can use the onlat and onlon functions to do that. So let's go ahead and code that in there. So I'll say onlat self dot start getting markets. What did I call it? Yeah, in field of view. In field of view. Okay, so again, anytime the lat changes, the onlat function is automatically called, and that will call my get or start getting markets in field of view function. And I'll just do the same thing for onlon. I'll copy this over. Okay, now what is actually happening in this start getting markets in field of view function? I need to go create it in Python. So over here, I'll say def start getting markets in field of view. Okay, so what should this do? This should, after 1 second, get the markets in the field of view. Okay, the reasoning for this is if the user is scrolling around the map a lot, I don't want to constantly call this function to get all the markets. I want it to wait until the user stops and then call the function and load all the markers. Okay, so to do this, the first thing I want to do is import the Kivy clock. Oops, from Kivy.clock, import clock. So I'm importing the clock class. Now, I'm going to create a variable called getting markets timer. I'll set this to none right now. This is actually going to be a reference to the 1 second timer that's ticking down until I get all the markets. So if it's not none, I'm going to try to stop the timer. Okay, so what I can do is I need a try except loop first, because if it's none and I try to stop the timer, it's not going to work. Okay, so try self.getting markets timer.cancel. Okay, except pass. So if I can't cancel it, there's no timer, and don't worry about it, just leave it alone. Okay, now what is actually the getting markets timer? Getting markets timer is clock.schedule once. So I'll say I'm going to pass it a function here called self.get markets in field of view, and pass it a number 1. So this says schedule one time this function to be called after 1 second, and then assign this this sort of countdown to this variable, right? And then when the user moves the map again, it's going to try to cancel the timer. So if this is already made, it's going to cancel it and start it over. So maybe I moved around half a second later. Well, the timer would have got down to half a second, and then it'd be canceled, and a new timer would start for another second. Okay, good. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now we need to define this get markets in field of view function. So I'll copy that, and I'll say def get markets in field of view self, and take args, because the clock.schedule once automatically passes back like how long it took to actually call the function, but I don't really care, so I'm just going to put args and kind of ignore it. Okay, so I'm going to say print self.get Bbox. So this will just give us a visual cue that, okay, what I have right now is working so far. And the self.getBbox function is really nice because it tells you basically the latitude and longitude for each of the corners inside of your map view, and that basically lets you load any markers inside your field of view. So getBbox basically returns the latitude and longitude range inside of your map view, and it's really handy to use with like a SQL query. Okay, let's try to get this working. If I run the app, after 1 second, okay, it's printed my minimum longitude or latitude, and then the max of, also it goes min lat, min lon, max lat, max lon. Okay, and if I move around on the app a little bit, you can see, boom, it printed out one more time, and it only printed once, not like 1,000 times while I was moving around the map. So this is a really handy little function there. Now, what I need to do here, this get markets in field of view function, if I go look back at my specification, this needs to retrieve all markets in the current field of view and then calls add market for each. So how do I retrieve all the markets? Well, this is where I'll be doing a little bit of work with SQL, and I'm using the SQLite 3 module in Python. So I've got this CSV file. Actually, let me show you the CSV file. This is pretty much my database where all of my markets, the data for all the markets is. It looks like this, okay? There's like some ID, there's a market name, a website, a Facebook page, and it goes on and on and on for a long time. A Twitter, YouTube, street address, city, state, all that stuff, okay? And it's got X and Y here. This is longitude and this is latitude, all right? So this is basically how I'm going to select all of the markets inside my range. So remember the getBbox function right here tells me the range, and then I can use that to query my database here and get only ones within that range. All right, so this is what I'm working with, okay, this massive CSV file, and I've put that into this little DB file. I'm not going to cover how to do that because it's not quite super Kivy related. I'll put a link to like the documentation for the SQLite 3 module, but either way, this CSV file is basically also in this DB file, and SQLite 3 knows how to interact with the DB file really quick and snappy. Okay, so first thing we need to do is connect to my markets.db file. To do that, I'm going to work with the onStart function in my app class. So whenever the main app starts up, this onStart function is automatically called, and in my specifications, let's see over here, right, so the main app, in the onStart function I want to initialize GPS, initialize a local database connection, and instantiate search pop-up menu. This is the one I'm going to be, this is the one I'm concerned with right now, okay? So maybe I've got like initialize GPS and then instantiate search pop-up menu. Those will be later videos, but right now I want to connect to database. To do that, like I said, I'm using the SQLite 3 module, so I'll import SQLite 3, and I'm going to give myself a couple variables to work with. I'll say connection is none, and also cursor is none. If you've ever worked with databases, you probably understand what's going on here. First thing I want to do to connect to the database is say self.connection is SQLite3.connect. Oops, little typo there. Import SQLite 3. SQLite3.connect, and then I need to pass where my DB file is. That's just markets.db. There you go. And now self.cursor is self.connection.cursor. Okay. Now I have access to my database and the connection and the cursor through my main app class. That's really nice because now what I can do is go over to farmersmapview.py and I can reference that. So I need to first import from kivy.app, import app. Now I need to get a reference, get reference to main app and the cursor. I'll say and the database cursor. Okay, so the main app is app.getRunningApp, cursor. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, we know that app.cursor is this cursor. Okay, great. So what I need to do is create my SQL statement. So I'll say SQL statement is select. I just want everything. So I want all the data from the markets that match my condition. So select everything from markets, where, by the way, markets is the name of the table inside of my markets.db file. So I could have named this table whatever I wanted, like foobar, but I named it markets so that it's kind of obvious what's inside of this database. Okay, so markets is the name of the table inside of this markets.db file. Okay, so select everything from the markets table where, and then remember X and Y in my CSV file were the latitude and longitude. So where X is less than, and then I'll put %s because I'm going to do some string manipulation, and this is going to be the minimum longitude, okay? So actually X should be greater than the minimum, and X is less than the maximum, and Y is greater than the minimum latitude, and Y is less than the maximum latitude. Okay, and then what am I actually putting here? Let's see. So I have to work with this get Bbox function, right? So I'll say min lat min lon max lat max lon is self.get Bbox. Okay, there we go. And now what I need to pass in here is, let's see, the max lon, there you go, min lat and max lat. Okay, so now I've done some string manipulation which says select everything from my markets table where the longitude is greater than the minimum longitude in my field of view, and the longitude is less than the maximum longitude in my field of view, and likewise for latitude. All right, now I can call app.cursor.execute SQL statement, and that'll actually run my command. And to get the results, and I have a bunch of results probably, there's a bunch of markets that fit this, I will say markets is app.cursor.fetch all, and let's see if I've done this all correctly. I will print markets, and hopefully, I know that there's some markets in Georgia because I've done this before, or in Atlanta, and boom, so I printed markets here. After 1 second, you can see that we have, here's the first market, and I have all this data about it. It's called Ackworth Farmers Market, and it's in some strange address. Here's the latitude and longitude. Okay, there. Here's the next one, Atlanta State Farmers Market, and all the information. So there you go. We have set up our map view. We've made it so that it gets all of the markets inside of the field of view. The next video, maybe I'll put just a quick little transition. I'll say for market in markets, self.add market, and now def add market, and it takes a market. This is for the next video, okay? So we've got the map view set up. We have our connection started to our local database. Like I said, if you're unfamiliar with really how SQLite works and just local database connections, I put a link in the description below so you can figure that out for yourself. It's really not too bad. And yeah, so we've got a good chunk of this done. Again, it looks pretty nice so far. And if I move around, it should, yep, there, it did it again. Perfect. So there you go. Next video, we'll work with the add market function, and to do that, we're also gonna have to make this market marker class. Okay, so stay tuned for next video. It's gonna be coming out shortly, and thanks for watching.